The News Watch never stops. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world.
Good evening, 37 degrees at 9:40. I'm Mario Bosquez. Here's what's happening. Starting the week with a winter weather advisory. AccuWeather standing by with the latest. Starbucks strikers gets a major mayor-elect and other political support.
Being taken off of the streets and going to prison, it would have been a death sentence.
A Bronx judge agrees 23 years behind bars was enough for a man convicted of 2 attempted murders but insisting he was innocent. New York City poised to get its first Vegas-style casinos. Central Park from France perks up a new opening date. AccuWeather will stand by, giving you the latest on a winter weather advisory. Wednesday time 9:41 is Get You Where You Need to Go with Kelly Dillon.
Bumper to bumper in Queens on the eastbound LIE tonight at Springfield Boulevard. The right lane down with a stalled car. Traffic back to the Clearview. The Grand Central still the better option. The BQE both ways at the LIE in Queens. Overnight road work backing up traffic. And in Brooklyn, the inbound Gowanus by Hamilton Ave. The 2 right lanes down with this accident still wrapping up here. Traffic is right back to the Prospect. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big 3. In Nassau County now, we're quiet along the LIE and still no trouble to report on the northern or southern state parkways. In Midtown, moving fine on the West Side Highway and the FDR. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. At the inbound George, construction now shutting down the lower deck tonight. Upper deck is open 10 to 15 minutes. Outbound, it is fine and no delays at the Lincoln or Holland. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
A snowy weather slam. AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson has the latest.
Well, this rain and snow will arrive during the morning commute tomorrow, but at least the first half of the commute, a lot of areas may end up being mostly dry. Now, any mix with wet snow in and around the city is going to be brief before it quickly switches over to rain. It may take a little longer, though, north and west of the city. A slushy coating to an inch of snow could accumulate in some nearby northwest suburbs, and 1 to 3 inches likely north and west of 287 before even those areas switch over, or at least mix with some rain into the afternoon as temperatures rise a bit. We will see the precipitation taper off by the late afternoon and early evening hours. So again, the precipitation will be winding down into the evening commute. And the good news is by that point, I think most of us will be above freezing.
New Jersey Governor Murphy issuing a state of emergency effective for tomorrow morning from 5 a.m. in Forward and Hunterdon, Morris, Passaic, Sussex, Warren counties. Keep it here for the latest from AccuWeather. Starbucks strikers gets a major mayor-elect and other political support.
Starbucks workers are on strike all across the country, and in Park Slope, they joined the picket line. For Melina, she says she's fighting for her future.
I'm trying to make it my career here, so I'm hoping as the contract progresses, the stress will alleviate.
The union representing Starbucks across the city says on average their workers make $30 an hour and have benefits, but Mayor-elect Mamdani demanding more.
And I joined them because I want to do everything that I can to show my solidarity. Far too often, the voices of everyday working people are not amplified with the volume that management so easily receives.
Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM in Park Slope.
A response statement from a Starbucks spokesperson, Workers United, which only represents around 4% of our partners, decided to walk away from the bargaining table. We've been very clear that we're ready to talk when the union's ready to return to negotiations. Meanwhile, Starbucks agreeing to pay some $35 million to settle the claims of more than 15,000 New York City workers who allege violations of workplace rules, including, they say, having their hours cut arbitrarily. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says 3 of his New York offices were the targets of emailed bomb threats, saying they were from an email address alleging the 2020 election was rigged. This involved his Rochester, Binghamton, and Long Island offices. The subject line, he says, MAGA. Full security sweeps then ensued. In a statement, he said, in part, as I have said many times, these kinds of violent threats have absolutely no place in our political system. Another day in court for murder suspect Luigi Mangione, where surveillance video of the killing of United Healthcare chief Brian Thompson was played.
Right out of the box, defense lawyers tried to knock out testimony, calling the first witness irrelevant. The NYPD sergeant testifying about photos disseminated to the media in the search for the killer of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. But the testimony went on, and Luigi Mangione kept taking notes as the graphic video played on giant screens in the courtroom showed the shooter walking behind Thompson and opening fire. Mangione followers dressed in green stood on line to get into the courtroom wearing sashes that said, "Free Luigi." Juliette Papa, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Today, a Bronx judge agreed that 23 years behind bars was enough for a man who was convicted of 2 attempted murders in 1999, but insisted he was innocent.
Andre Brown still had 17 years to go on his sentence and feared he would be sent back to prison.
I was really concerned. I was never nervous because I'm a believer in God.
Brown, a married father of 2, was freed nearly 3 years ago when a judge overturned his conviction, saying Brown's lawyer at the time failed to show medical evidence that he had a leg injury and could not have run like the gunman. The district attorney appealed.
You know, I couldn't fathom reuniting with my family after 23 long years and then being taken off of the streets and going to prison. It would have been a death sentence.
Brown said he will continue to fight until he clears his name. Marla Diamond, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
A new bill currently in City Council would give Staten Islanders the freedom to make a certain traffic turn they're fighting for.
When it comes to making a right on red, Staten Island is treated just like Times Square.
Far out here in the South Shore, we are more suburban. So I don't want to be associated with Manhattan. I want to be able to make a right on red.
Staten Island Councilmember Frank Morano's bill would help make Danielle Wallace's dream a reality. But there is concern about intersections near schools.
That's just common sense. Around your schools or your school time, there should never be a right on red because there's always influx and flow of children and people in traffic.
The bill would study certain intersections for visibility and pedestrian and cyclist activity. Mac Rosenberg's 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Are we closer to rolling those dice? New York City apparently poised to get its first Vegas-style casinos, including one right next to Met Stadium. They were among 3 casino proposals approved for gambling licenses today by a key state panel. No casinos will, however, end up in Manhattan. Several other competing proposals were already scrapped, shot down, including one in the heart of Times Square. The chair of the New York Gaming Facility Location Board, Vicki Ben.
Awarding all 3 licenses best advances the state's long-term economic, fiscal, and community objectives.
From a press conference that took place today, the State Gaming Commission is expected to formally issue the licenses before the end of the year. Looks like there's some changes ahead for the Health Secretary's controversial Vaccine Advisory Committee.
Well-known vaccine critic Martin Kulldorff is leaving the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices to take an official role within the Department of Health and Human Services. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is replacing him with another ardent vaccine critic, Dr. Kirk Milhoan. He was fired from Harvard Medical School last year for what he claimed was his refusal to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. He says vaccines cause cardiovascular disease.
Correspondent Stacy Lynn on the story. The son of a notorious Mexican drug kingpin pleading guilty in a U.S. drug trafficking case.
Prosecutors allege the sons of Joaquin El Chapo Guzman ran a faction of the Sinaloa cartel that exported staggering quantities of fentanyl to the United States. Joaquin Guzman Lopez is the second of El Chapo's sons to enter into a plea deal with prosecutors. His brother Ovidio was the first to accept it months ago. Joaquin Guzman Lopez has pleaded guilty to various drug trafficking, money laundering, and firearms charges tied to his leadership role in the cartel.
Correspondent Jennifer Kuiper. A man described as being homeless caught fire police on a subway train near Times Square early this morning. No word exactly how it happened on that 3 train right about 3 a.m. He left the train at Times Square. A transit worker flagging police. He's now hospitalized stable as this investigation continues. Wednesday time 9:51. Let's get you where you need to go with Kelly Dillon.
We've got a mess in Queens on the eastbound LIE approaching Springfield Boulevard in Queens. With the stalled car stuck in the right lane, bumper to bumper, going right back to the clear view as that gets cleared up. The BQE in Queens, both ways at the LIE overnight construction, closing at least a lane each way here, quite slow. The Van Wyck is picking up both ways into Hillside Ave now. And in Brooklyn, great news. On the inbound Gowanus by Hamilton Ave, looks like that crash has been cleared away and delays easing out. In Midtown, we're quiet on both the West Side Highway and the FDR Drive right now. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. The inbound George lower level now closed for construction work. Upper deck is open, but causing about a 10 to 15 minute backup. Heading into Jersey, that is quiet. Not bad at the Lincoln or Holland. The Jersey bound outer bridge crossing now. Overnight construction setting up in the right lane. It is bumper to bumper, so go for the Gothels. Looking much better. Kelly Dillon, 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
Let's get a check of the AccuWeather forecast with meteorologist Brian Thompson.
It should stay dry through tonight with increasing clouds, low 33 in Midtown, mid to upper 20s in most suburbs, and temperatures will slowly rise a bit later on. Now, especially the early part of the morning commute tomorrow will likely be dry in most places, but over the course of the morning, we'll see rain and snow overspread the area from southwest to northeast. Any mix with wet snow in and around the city will be brief before it quickly changes over to rain. Across Long Island, we're expecting just rain throughout tomorrow. Now, north and west of the city, the snow may hang on a little longer. A slushy coating to an inch could accumulate in some nearby northwest suburbs. 1 to 3 inches likely north and west of 287 before mixing with rain. And the rain can be heavy enough to cause ponding on roads before it winds down late in the day. High tomorrow near 40, and then drying out Wednesday with sunshine, high 40. Blustery Thursday, sun will mix with clouds, high 42. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
Now, Bloomberg Money Watch.
Nearly half the 16,000 truck driving schools in the U.S. may be forced to close. It's after a U.S. Transportation Department review found many of them are not compliant with new government training requirements, some accused of falsifying, even manipulating training data. On Wall Street today, stocks ended lower with a sell-off in Bitcoin and crypto-related stocks weighing on investors. The Dow today falling 427, the NASDAQ down 90, the S&P lost 36. I'm Tom Busby. Bloomberg Money Watch on 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
1010 wins.
They deliver the news without any bias.
You gotta stay in the know, right?
It's not New York without them. 1010 wins on 92.3 FM.
1010 wins. I think it's important to be better informed about what's going on around you.
They cover everything.
I like the way to present it.
1010 wins.
At 92.3 FM.
AccuWeather's calling for a winter weather advisory starting at 4 in the morning, running through 10 p.m. for the following counties: for Morris, Western, Passaic, Rockland, Putnam counties, points north and west as well. Keep it here on 1010 Wins for the latest on the winter weather advisory from AccuWeather.
WINS FM and HD1 New York. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
More people get their news from 1010 Wins and from any other radio station in the nation. John Davis, Service Aide, Tanya Mercado, Editor's Desk. I'm Mario Bosquez.
All news, all the time. This is 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM, New York.
37 degrees, partly cloudy at 10 o'clock. Good evening, I'm Lane Bijardi, and here's what's happening. The winter weather advisory begins at 4 a.m. for Rockland, Putnam, Morris, and Western Passaic counties, as well as points north and west of those areas. AccuWeather on the way with what to expect where you are. Zoran Mondani and Bernie Sanders walk the picket line with striking Starbucks workers in the city. Chuck Schumer responds to MAGA-themed bomb threats that cleared out 3 of his local Senate offices today, including one on Long Island. Senator Mark Kelly claps back at President Trump and Defense Secretary Hegseth over threats to have him recalled in court-martial. If you have a smartphone, you know it is Cyber Monday. Lots of online shopping went on today. Meantime, in sports, the Giants are up in Foxborough. They're playing the Patriots there. The Devils lose. There was one other game. That was the Nets. Let's see if they lost too. No, they won. AccuWeather says, well, cold tonight. Mainly clear this evening. Increasing clouds overnight. Low 33 in Midtown. Mid to upper 20s in most suburbs. Rain and snow arrives during the morning commute. Details in 1 minute. It's News Time 10:01. Let's get you where you need to go. Kelly Dillon.
Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. We got delays on the Outer Bridge crossing now heading into Jersey. It is at a standstill with construction work in the right lane, so avoid that. Go with the Goethals. The Lincoln and the Holland, both quiet in either direction. At the inbound George, the lower level, it is closed with construction. Upper deck is open, but causing a 10 to 15 minute backup. Into Jersey, it is still moving all right. The Brooklyn Bridge, quiet again in either direction. In Queens, construction on the westbound BQE right at the LIE knocks out a lane. It is bumper to bumper. We've got some slight delays on the southbound Van Wyck into Hillside Ave in Queens now. In Midtown, we're looking all right on both the West Side Highway and the FDR Drive. Not bad on Long Island. Here's what we see on Long Island's Big Three. In Nassau tonight, quiet on the LIE. No trouble to report on the northern or southern state parkways. Kelly Dillon, 1010 wins at 92.3 FM.
Snow on the way for parts of the area during the morning commute ahead. Let's get the details from AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson.
This is going to be a messy storm that we're contending with during the day for tomorrow. Now, early on in the commutes, it will likely still be dry, but over the course of the morning, rain and snow will be arriving from the south and west. Mainly rain across Long Island. Mainly rain in the city as well. Maybe a few wet snowflakes mixed in early. The snow may hang on a little longer north and west of the city. Could be a slushy coating to an inch in some nearby northwest suburbs and 1 to 3 inches north and west of 287 before there's a mix or change to rain later in the day. And then we'll see this precipitation wind down into the late afternoon and early evening hours tomorrow.
So again, cold and sometimes heavy rain will be the main issue in and around the city tomorrow with snow north and west. Lock it into 1010 winds for the latest on the storm as it hits. Democratic members of the House and Senate calling on Starbucks to resume talks with the union representing its workers. The mayor-elect also weighing in.
Starbucks workers have walked off the job and onto the picket line. Melina is one of those people. She's worked at Starbucks for 6 years.
I'm hoping that we get better take-home pay, better hours, so we're not understaffed.
Mayor-elect Mom Donnie standing in solidarity with Starbucks workers.
120. That's the amount of stores that are on strike, corporate greed and self-enrichment.
Along with Senator Bernie Sanders.
60% of our people are living paycheck to paycheck.
We have reached out to the Starbucks union that represents workers here in the city. They say on average, workers make $30 an hour and have health benefits. Mary Lynn Buckley, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Park Slope.
More than 15,000 Starbucks workers in the city getting a bonus ahead of the holidays. The company has agreed to pay $35 million in a settlement over working conditions with the New York City Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. Commissioner Vildevera Mayuga says they did not give some employees regular schedules while cutting the hours of others, a violation of New York's Fair Workweek law.
When there are openings in shifts, Starbucks is required to offer those to existing workers. But instead, Starbucks will go and hire new workers, essentially forcing the existing workers into part-time work that would not be sufficient for these individuals to live in New York City.
Many hourly employees who worked from July 2021 through July of last year will receive $50 for each week worked. New York City took a big step toward legal Vegas-style casino gambling today in 3 locations, 2 in Queens, 1 in the Bronx.
A handful of protesters briefly disrupted the vote and were led out by security. Board member Greg Reimers explained their decision.
The downstate market is among the strongest in the nation, supported by population density, income levels, and tourism.
Bally's expects to generate $400 million in annual tax revenue, while Steve Cohen, who has partnered with Hard Rock, expects $1 billion annually. Opponents like Jack Koo say it will be on the backs of the nearby Asian community.
Our seniors and working people have long been dehumanized by casino operators.
Final approval is up to the State Gaming Commission, who will vote this month. Marla Diamond, 1010 wins on 92.3 FM in Midtown.
3 of Senator Chuck Schumer's New York offices were targeted with email bomb threats today. Emails received by staffers in Melville, Rochester, Binghamton. The subject line, MAGA. Threats came from an email address calling the 2020 election results rigged.
These kinds of violent threats have absolutely no place in our political system. No one, no public servant, no staffer, no constituent, no citizen should ever be targeted for simply doing their job.
Schumer says local and federal law enforcement responded and conducted full security sweeps. Accused health insurance CEO killer Luigi Mangione back in court today for arguments related to what evidence may and may not be allowed in his murder trial.
Luigi Mangione scribbled furiously in a spiral notebook as prosecutors presented evidence, and defense attorneys challenged it, trying to keep it out of the trial. Mangione watched intently, but with no emotion, as the full video of United CEO Brian Thompson's murder played on giant screens in the courtroom. A video from a Pennsylvania McDonald's also showed police approaching and arresting Mangione after a customer told a manager he looked like the guy wanted for the New York City shooting. Juliet Papa, 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
Surviving West Virginia National Guard member shot in the ambush attack in Washington, D.C. remains in serious condition tonight. West Virginia Governor Patrick Morrisey says there are some positive updates about 24-year-old Air Force Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf.
We were told that Andrew was asked if he could hear the nurse who asked the question to give a thumbs up, and he did respond. And we were told that he also wiggled his toes.
Staff Sergeant Wolf walking with 20-year-old Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, who was killed in the attack. They were deployed as part of President Trump's controversial crime-fighting plan for the district. No court appearance has been scheduled for accused shooter Ramanella Lockenwall, who was also shot during the confrontation and remains in a hospital. 37 degrees, partly cloudy. The clouds will build overnight. We're going down to 33 in Midtown. 'Tis the season for giving and giving back. Special machines for that set up in Times Square. We'll tell you about that. But first, huzzah! Wins News Time, 10:11. Let's get you where you need to go with Kelly Dillon.
We've got big delays on the Outer Bridge crossing tonight. Here's what you need to know about the bridges and tunnels. The Jersey-bound Outer Bridge crossing at a standstill with right lane construction. Head to the Goethals, much better there. The Lincoln and Holland both remain quiet. Inbound George, lower deck closed for construction. Upper deck about a 10-minute backup at the tolls. Into Jersey, it is quiet tonight. Not bad on the Whitestone or Throgs Neck bridges either. We are bumper to bumper now in Brooklyn on the eastbound BQE by the Williamsburg as construction work sets up, closing a lane. The westbound side of the BQE in Queens at the LIE has a lane of construction backing up traffic as well. Eastbound the LIE in Queens at Springfield Boulevard, construction work here, starting to back up traffic, closing at least a lane or two. And overnight road work backing up the eastbound Northern State at Glen Cove Road. Left lane and down the LIE, much better. Kelly Dillon, 1010 Wins at 92.3 FM.
Now, the AccuWeather 4-day forecast. Here's meteorologist Brian Thompson.
Clouds will continue to increase and thicken as we head through tonight. Low 33 in Midtown, mid to upper 20s in most suburbs. Temperatures will slowly rise later on. Rain and snow arriving during the morning commute tomorrow. Now, any mix with wet snow in and around the city will be brief before quickly changing to rain. Should be all rain across Long Island. North and west of the city, though, there could be a slushy coating to an inch of snow in some nearby northwest suburbs. 1 to 3 inches likely north and west of 287 before mixing with rain. High tomorrow near 40. The precipitation tapers off late in the afternoon or early in the evening, and mostly cloudy, brisk, and cold tomorrow night. Lows in the 20s to near 30. Some sunshine returns Wednesday, high near 40. Blustery and cold Thursday. Sun will mix with clouds, high 42. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Brian Thompson on New York's weather station. 1010 Wins on 92.3 FM.
37 degrees, partly cloudy, going down to 33 in Midtown. In Times Square now, an effort to help people through giving machines this holiday season.
From the